Humans Are Unnerving, Part 2. A story by user ZombieRedditer9188. So, what is your name? I asked, looking at the human who was sitting across the table from me. He had an almost bored expression on his face, leaning back in his chair. Alan Gardner, he responded, and I typed that down. Alan, did you witness the collision between the vehicles directly, or did you stumble onto the scene? I questioned, looking up at him. I witnessed it directly, he answered, and I made sure to keep my antennae in a neutral position. Well, it's a good thing you didn't get hurt. What did you do when you witnessed the crash? I prepared to type. I rushed over and tried to deliver basic first aid, but I was too late. Alan said simply, and I noticed dried blood all over his hands. Here. I stood up and grabbed a bottle of sanitation spray and tissues, passing him the items. Thanks. I watched as he casually cleaned his bloodied hands, throwing the tissues into a nearby trash can before setting back down. Did you see how the crash occurred? Normally, we'd use security footage for this kind of thing, but we haven't installed any cameras in this region yet, I admitted, only seconds later realizing that was a stupid thing to tell a random civilian. Oh, there's no cameras? Alan seemed interested in this knowledge, and I stiffened. Yes, there are none. I didn't want to lie, so I reluctantly told him the truth. Okay. He dismissed it, and I let out an internal shake of relief. Well, I didn't see it fully, but if I remember correctly, it was a red light. The first car just ran in and hit the second car at full force. It could have been mechanical problems, he said. I quickly typed this information. Well, thank you, Alan. You've been a great help. No problem. Have a good night. He stood up, exiting the interrogation room. I felt my body relax, my antennae curling slowly. Why was I so creeped out? It was just an interrogation over a car crash. I had seen far, far worse. Not only that, but it had taken only 5 minutes. Now that he had left, I had to watch the footage of me interrogating him. Maybe there was some body language I missed. I pulled up a document on human body language, and to my surprise, it was only 6 pages. 6 pages. The average was 17. Nevertheless, I quickly read it, and it was basic stuff. Facial expressions, posture, gestures, eye contact, and voice. After I finished reading, I leaned back in my chair and watched the footage of me interrogating Alan. Alan's facial expression hardly changed throughout the entire interrogation, only slightly changing when he paused to remember details. In contrast, despite my best efforts and training, my antennae were flailing around, and I was subconsciously shifting. His posture was more or less normal, and while he didn't make that many gestures, one thing he kept was eye contact. While I looked down to type, Alan was staring at me, his brown eyes boring into my chitin. There was something about this look that made me tremble, something I couldn't explain. It wasn't even intense or hostile. It just felt off. Finally, I got to the part where I stupidly revealed there were no cameras in the region, and I noticed a change in Alan's posture. He sat up, his eyes more focused. That wasn't good. Alan was up to something. I just knew it. I sat up, heading home early. I was going to catch a criminal in the act. Alan walked home, head and heart pounding. This evening's events were very unexpected. He could still remember dragging the limp corpses out of their cars, their empty, lifeless eyes staring into nothingness. With no medical supplies, there wasn't much he could do but try to stop their bleeding in vain. It probably wasn't even blood loss, Alan realized. It was most likely the impact of the crash that killed them. The officer had been nice, but it was Reika that he was worried about. Why was she so distressed? Admittedly, it was a distressing scene, but they were just 4 random people. He immediately felt guilty for thinking that. Of course, Reika got upset. It was a gruesome scene by anyone's standards, although Alan was used to seeing gore from video games and horror movies. Alan grabbed his phone and scrolled to find her number, which she had given to him on their first day of working together. He felt even guiltier seeing all her texts asking him if he wanted to go out drinking or hang out at a VR cafe, all of which he had declined. It wasn't that he didn't want to hang out with her, he was just busy. Since it was the weekend tomorrow, Alan decided that he might as well hang out with her. He quickly typed a message and sent it before heading off to eat dinner. Hey Reika, I'm free this weekend. We could go to the VR cafe you were always talking about. That is, if you're not too busy. Alan. If you're new here, welcome aboard. Check out the description for the story and join the Discord if you like. Consider supporting the channel and the author as well. It's a dangerous world out there, but remember to be brave and look up to seek the stars.